Let's face it, we've all been there. That feeling of dread when a task looms large, casting a shadow over our day. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Your support helps us create more great content for you. That deadline looms, growing ever closer with each passing moment. The pressure mounts, and the clock seems to tick faster, amplifying the sense of urgency. The task list grows longer, an ever-expanding monument to all the things we need to accomplish. Each item seems to scream for attention, creating a cacophony of demands. And yet we find ourselves strangely drawn to activities of significantly less importance. The allure of distraction becomes almost irresistible. Suddenly, cleaning the grout between bathroom tiles, a task normally relegated to the bottom of the priority list, seems infinitely more appealing than tackling that presentation due tomorrow. The mind finds refuge in the mundane, seeking escape from the perceived difficulty of the looming task. Procrastination, the art of putting things off until the last possible moment. That familiar dance we all know so well, or sometimes even later, resulting in missed opportunities and self-reproach, is a universal human experience. It transcends age, culture, and profession, binding us together in a shared struggle. We know it's not good for us. Deep down, we understand the negative consequences that await us. We know it causes stress, a constant undercurrent of anxiety that gnaws at our well-being. Anxiety, that persistent feeling of unease that clouds our thoughts and disrupts our focus, and often, subpar results. The quality of our work suffers when we rush to meet deadlines at the last minute. Yet we still find ourselves trapped in its seductive grasp. The cycle repeats itself despite our best intentions. But why? What is it about procrastination that holds such a powerful sway over us? What makes us choose the path of procrastination, that seemingly easier route that promises instant gratification? Even when we know it's paved with guilt and potential disaster, why do we knowingly choose a path that leads to increased stress and diminished outcomes? The answer, it turns out, lies not in laziness or lack of willpower, but in the complex interplay of our brains, the intricate workings of our cognitive processes, our emotions, the powerful drivers of our behavior, often overriding our rational intentions, and our deeply ingrained habits. These patterns, formed over time, can be difficult to break, leading us back to procrastination time and again. Understanding these factors, delving into the psychology behind procrastination, is the first step towards breaking free from the procrastination cycle, gaining control over our actions and choices, and reclaiming our productivity and peace of mind. Imagine a life free from the stress and anxiety of constant procrastination. So, let's dive into the surprising science behind this all-too-familiar phenomenon. Let's explore the hidden mechanisms that drive procrastination and discover practical strategies to overcome it. To understand why we procrastinate, a habit that plagues so many of us, we need to delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience. Procrastination isn't simply a matter of laziness or poor time management. It's a complex interplay of different brain regions vying for control. To truly grasp this internal battle, we need to meet the two key protagonists in our brain, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. These two systems, while both essential for our survival and well-being, often have conflicting agendas. Understanding their roles and how they interact is crucial to overcoming procrastination. First, we have the prefrontal cortex, our rational planner, the part of our brain that allows us to think ahead, set goals, and make logical decisions. And then there's the limbic system, our impulsive pleasure seeker, the more primitive part of our brain that's primarily concerned with immediate rewards and avoiding discomfort. The prefrontal cortex, a relatively recent development in our evolutionary history, is what separates us from many other species. It's the seat of higher-level thinking and executive function. It is responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control. It's the voice of reason that tells us to start that important project or study for that exam. It understands the long-term benefits of hard work and delayed gratification. The limbic system, on the other hand, is an ancient and powerful force, a relic from our evolutionary past that has been honed over millennia to ensure our survival. It is driven by immediate gratification and survival instincts. It craves pleasure, avoids pain, and seeks instant rewards. When faced with a challenging or unpleasant task, the limbic system throws a tantrum, urging us to avoid the discomfort and opt for something more enjoyable instead. Unfortunately, the limbic system is a master of persuasion, and in the heat of the moment, it often overpowers the prefrontal cortex's well-intentioned plans. This is because the limbic system reacts much faster and more intensely to immediate stimuli than the prefrontal cortex, which is more deliberate and thoughtful. This explains why, despite our best intentions, we often find ourselves succumbing to the allure of procrastination. We know we be working, but the pull of instant gratification is just too strong. The good news is that by understanding this neural tug-of-war, we can start to develop strategies to help our prefrontal cortex regain control and steer us towards productivity. By learning to manage our impulses and strengthen our rational decision-making, we can break free from the cycle of procrastination and achieve our goals. While our brains, with their intricate networks and cognitive processes, play a key role in procrastination, it's crucial to understand that the story doesn't end there. Our minds are powerful engines, but they are often influenced by a more subtle yet equally potent force. Our emotions are often the secret instigators behind the scenes, the puppeteers pulling the strings of our behavior. They operate on a deeper level, influencing our decisions and actions in ways we may not even consciously realize. Fear, in its many forms, is a major culprit. It's a primal emotion, hardwired into our brains to protect us from perceived danger. Fear of failure whispers doubts in our ears, planting seeds of uncertainty and apprehension. It subtly convinces us that it's better to avoid trying altogether, to remain in our comfort zone, shielded from the potential sting of defeat. It makes us believe that the pain of inaction is far less severe than the risk of falling short. Fear of judgment makes us question our abilities, eroding our confidence and self-belief. This fear leads us to delay putting our work out there for scrutiny, fearing the criticism and negative feedback that might come our way. Perfectionism, often disguised as a desire for excellence and a commitment to quality, can also be a major roadblock, preventing us from even starting a task. We strive for flawlessness, getting caught up in the minutiae and losing sight of the bigger picture. We end up setting impossibly high standards, creating a bar that's virtually impossible to clear. This ultimately leaves us feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed, unable to take the first step. The sheer magnitude of a task, the overwhelming scope of what needs to be done, particularly one that feels daunting or complex, with numerous steps and intricate details, can also trigger our procrastination reflex, pushing us towards easier, more immediately gratifying activities. When we feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of work or the complexity of a project, our brains interpret the task as a threat, signaling danger and triggering our survival instincts. This, in turn, triggers our stress response, flooding our bodies with cortisol and adrenaline. Our natural reaction is then to send us running for cover, seeking refuge from the perceived danger. We find ourselves retreating in the comforting arms of procrastination, seeking temporary relief in distractions and avoidance. The key to overcoming these emotional roadblocks that stand between us and our goals is to recognize them for what they are, not insurmountable obstacles, but rather irrational fears and distorted perceptions that are clouding our judgment and holding us back. By understanding these emotional patterns, we can begin to break free from the cycle of delay and self-sabotage and move towards a more productive and fulfilling life. Our brains are wired to prioritize immediate rewards over long-term gains. This tendency, known as temporal discounting, explains why that slice of cake often trumps our best intentions to eat healthy, or why scrolling through social media seems infinitely more appealing than finishing that important report. In the moment, the pleasure of instant gratification outweighs the potential benefits of delayed gratification, even if we know that the long-term consequences might be negative. This explains why we often find ourselves drawn to activities that provide instant dopamine hits, like checking email, browsing the web, or engaging in mindless entertainment. These activities may be enjoyable in the short term. Quick reminder, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. It really helps the channel grow. But they ultimately contribute to our procrastination woes. By understanding the seductive power of instant gratification, we can start to make more conscious choices that align with our long-term goals and values. Procrastination is not a one-time event. It's actually a vicious cycle that kind of feeds on itself. The more we delay, the more guilt, shame, and anxiety we experience. These negative emotions, in turn, make it even harder to start the task, leading to further procrastination and a downward spiral of self-recrimination. The stress and pressure of impending deadlines also take a toll on our cognitive abilities, impairing our focus, concentration, and decision-making skills. This cognitive impairment further fuels our procrastination, creating a self-sabotaging loop that can be, really difficult to escape. Breaking free from this doom loop requires interrupting the cycle at its root. By implementing strategies to manage our time, emotions, and negative self-talk, we can regain control and create a more positive and productive relationship with our work. The good news is that procrastination is a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken with awareness and effort, and the right strategies. The first step is to identify your procrastination triggers. What are the specific tasks, situations, or emotions that send you running for the hills of procrastination? Once you've pinpointed your triggers, you can start to develop coping mechanisms. If fear of failure is your nemesis, try breaking down the task into smaller, more manageable steps. If perfectionism is your downfall, embrace the concept of good enough and focus on progress over perfection. Time management techniques, like the Pomodoro technique, can also be incredibly effective. This method involves working in focused bursts of 25 minutes, followed by short breaks to help maintain concentration and prevent overwhelm. One of the most effective ways to overcome procrastination is to simply start. Often, the hardest part is taking that first step. Instead of focusing on the enormity of the task, break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. Completing these smaller tasks, even if they seem insignificant, creates a sense of accomplishment and builds momentum. As you check items off your list, you'll find that your motivation and confidence increase, making it easier to tackle the next item and the next. Remember, progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Celebrate your wins, acknowledge your efforts, and use that positive energy to fuel your continued productivity. Perfectionism is often the enemy of progress. When we strive for flawlessness, we set ourselves up for disappointment and delay. The truth is, nothing is ever perfect. There will always be room for improvement, but that doesn't mean that our work isn't valuable or worthwhile. Embrace the concept of good enough. Strive for excellence, but don't let the pursuit of perfection paralyze you. Remember, done is better than perfect. It's better to have a finished product, even if it's not flawless, than to have nothing to show for your efforts. Give yourself permission to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. The journey of growth and improvement is often more rewarding than the destination of perfection. Procrastination is a common struggle, but it doesn't have to control your life. By understanding the science behind this phenomenon, you can start to develop strategies to overcome it and unlock your true potential. Remember to be kind to yourself. Progress takes time, and setbacks are a natural part of the process. Celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward, one step at a time. You've got this.